and I am a practitioner here at Genesis, and it is my honor and pleasure to welcome you. So, first order of business, let's stand and do some singing, and Cal will lead us.
With our virtual jaw. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Please be seated. So we have our online host today. For those of you that are coming in through our Facebook, our online host today is Eric, and he's gonna, if you wanna say, hi, Eric, I'm here joining you guys today, or if you have any questions, you can go ahead and just put those right in the chat. So I would like to invite you to read with me our mission and vision statements. Our mission. We are building a vibrant community, cultivating a garden of spiritual growth, honoring vulnerability, creating a safe place of comfort and peace where all are welcome and accepted. And our vision. Genesis is a bright beacon with an unshakable heart of love, accepting all, a home for the soul where we each creatively express our spiritual brilliance. And for our announcements this morning, Reverend James and Shara are presenting We Space, Embodied Mystical Practice, a class that encompasses group consciousness, connects to the three faces of God, and helps us embody our experience, making it easier to take it with us. So as our group bonds, we experiment with participatory mystical messaging. This class is meeting on Mondays from 6:30 to 8:30, and it starts tomorrow night, which is Monday. So they're going until June 3rd. You can RSVP online at genesiscsl.org/education, or if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to Reverend James at revjames@genesiscsl.org. On Monday the 15th as well, our Healers and Hunters men's group continues to meet from 7 to 8:30. You can join Dave Pennick, who is a practitioner here, and Jim Monson for Genesis's men's group. The men's group is a place where men get together, connect with each other, and share what's going on in their lives. So if you're interested in joining that group for the first time, you can reach out to Dave or Jim, and their emails are here on the screen. Our Genesis Board of Directors will be holding an annual meeting for everyone next week on Sunday the 21st after service. Not yet, next week after service. Man, I'm excited for the meeting. Let's do it. We highly encourage our whole Genesis family to be there in person. You'll get the financial report, hear what we've accomplished over the past year, and let you know what's coming next. And there will be a potluck too. So we hope to see you there. Spiritual action. We are now ready to narrow down our ideas that we've been collecting for what we want to do as a spiritual action project together as a community. So we're hoping to choose 3 actions at the annual meeting. Christy Randolph is hosting a mindful eating group on Monday nights as well via Zoom from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. It's just a quick 30-minute, and the goals are to support each other in staying on our eating path, share successes, challenges, and eating hacks, maybe some favorite recipes. Connect with Christy here at the service or at her email at randolph.christykcase@gmail.com. You can join a care circle to connect with the community, deepen spiritual growth, and create lasting friendships. Genesis Care Circles meet at least once a month in a member's home or on Zoom. They do spiritual practice, share, care, and connect. You can connect with Karen Williams, our practitioner for this morning, via Facebook, or you can come here on Sunday morning for more information. Today, book study will meet after service. Today, book study will probably not meet after service. And that's why I paused, because I think we have another group, a Genesis group, that needs to do a meeting after the service. So we will not be doing our book study today. Next week is our meeting, so we're not doing our book study next week. But then the week after that, stick around after church service. And the beautiful thing about the book study is, even if you just drop in for one, they're powerful and a great way to spend an afternoon. So whenever you have that time to just stick around after service, treat yourself. The book studies are beautiful. I do that on the rare occasion I get to stick around. They're amazing. Worth every minute. So that concludes our announcements. So I want to introduce our first-time guests. Is anyone visiting here in the room for the first time? Is there anyone visiting online? So we're all familiar faces and family, and it is so good to see our familiar faces and family that are here, that maybe don't even live in Washington anymore, that are back visiting today. Vicki, it's so good to see your face. And so now we get to stand and greet one another. So I want to take a moment and thank everybody that's in service this morning. Our person at our welcome table, thank you, Reverend Rose, for greeting everyone. Running our projector and video stuff, we have Eric and Mike in the back. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gideon, for collecting our offering today. Thank you, Soren, for doing our sound, and happy birthday to Soren. Woo! Happy birthday! And our online host we mentioned was Eric. And then this morning, as our service practitioner, I would like to bring up Miss Karen Williams to bring us and get us centered in our morning. Thank you, Karen. Oh, but first we're going to sing together. Please stand.
That's okay. It's just a really great song written by Christine S. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love.
Good morning. My name is Karen Williams, and I am a practitioner here at Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm going to continue with that deepening as we sink deeper into that center of ourselves where we recognize that we are one with God. And so I'm going to do that by using the gong as a spiritual practice. So we'll breathe in and out with each gong. And then I'm going to have a reading, and then I'm going to pray before we have our message today. So breathe with me. Just writing on that vibration, we're going to read from Ernest Holmes' 365. The Lord will perfect that which concerneth thee, from Psalms. Ernest says, the natural order of evolution has brought us to a place where there is a quickening of the spirit, a keener perception of the mind, a deeper introspection of the soul. The veil between spirit and matter is thinning. We are emerging into a spiritual universe, proclaimed alike by the philosopher, the religionist, the scientist, the idealist, and yet the nature of reality or ultimate truth cannot have changed 2 and 2 were 4 1 million years ago. The awakening is to the mind and spirit. The passing of old orders of thought is but a proclamation of the inauguration of new and higher orders. Modern psychology, metaphysics, and philosophy all announce a new birth of the mind, a new discovery of the self, a new consciousness of the intimacy of the mind and the subtle spirit within each of us. There appears to be one persistent purpose behind the great forward movement of evolution, namely the expression of intelligence through creation into higher, finer, and more complex forms. An insistent and intelligent urge in the life principles impels it to express. Spirit is forever clothing itself in form. If we were to ask our imagination why this is so, the answer might be that God itself would remain a non-entity unless it were expressed. Even to the infinite, some form of creative action and expression is necessary. And so I speak this morning from this urge, this desire to express. And I know that its source is the infinite creative power of life itself. And I know that this urge lives inside of myself and all beings everywhere, no matter what condition or circumstances each individual is experiencing. That urge to express creatively, to express love, to express power is innate. It is alive and it lives. And it is something that I'm grateful for because I know that we each experience and express life differently. And I am empowered by that knowledge. I know that I am unique and I am necessary. And I know that each of us here and all beings everywhere are the same, absolutely necessary to the unfolding of this great creative idea of love itself, of life itself. And so I celebrate how it unfolds and how it expresses today for each of us, recognizing that there is this miraculous confluence of events and circumstances that have brought us here together on this tiny planet in this huge cosmos. That we are here. We are here. And I use the power that is given to me to express love to the greatest capacity that I have within me, which is infinite. And I get to choose in every moment how that expresses itself in a conversation, in a prayer, in a hug. Life offers itself through us, as us. And knowing this, I know that the way that life expresses itself, as Reverend James, as he has given himself over to this community to be the glue, so to speak, of this community, the inspiration behind this community and the love that we are, I know that he is inspired by that living presence within. And that is a gift that is offered to each of us today, right now. And so I open my heart to that experience and to this community and to Genesis Center for Spiritual Living and the idea of it as a beacon of love that goes out across the planet and into the cosmos. Knowing that this is true, and the law has accepted it as so, I let these words go, knowing that the continuation of this service is just an expression of that same thing, and so it is. And let's welcome back Cal.
So as Soren gets set up, I'm just going to say we get to experience something a little different today with our special music. We're going to do another sing-along. You Are the Face of God. I invite you to sing and take it really deep in knowing there might be a verse that you don't recognize. There's one in Spanish that you might not know. It's okay. You can still sing the words that you know. And there is another song that says, you are the face of love. You are my family. You are the face of love. And think of, when you're singing this song, think of the people, the love, the life you have, the love of the things you have. That's okay, you can do that. And just think of all of the wonders that you hold dear, and take them into your heart. We used to have a choir that had 100 people in it, and we would sing to each other in this way. And all of the things in your life disappear. All of the worries in your life disappear, and the things that are important to you become your focus. So, with that. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu es l'image de Dieu.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu es l'image de l'amour.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
Tu sei la luce di Dio.
I hold you in my heart.
Tu sei il volto dell'amore.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God.
The face of love.
I hold you in my heart.
In my heart.
You are
My
a part of
family. My family.
You are the face of God.
The face of love.
You are the face of God.
The face of love.
I hold you in my heart.
In my heart.
You are my family.
My family.
You are the face of love.
Face of love.
You are the face of God.
Face of God.
I hold you in my heart.
In my heart.
You are a part of me.
Part of me.
You are the face of God.
Face of God.
You are the face of God.
Eres la luz de Dios.
I hold you in my heart.
Eres la cara del amor.
You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me.
thanks to Cal Boyle and the Genesis Singers. And Karen Drucker. So today, this month, we're talking about giant gentleness. And today, we'll talk about how all our relationships are love in form. And the Higgs boson, which is the God particle. People heard about that a few years ago, right? It really fits into what we're talking about today. But I want to start off with a story about the solar eclipse that happened in a lot of other places last week. Yeah. There was a gentleman, Pete Moriarty, who in 1978 was a shiny new junior high school science teacher. And he got, in spite of his name being the same as Professor Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes' nemesis, he was in fact a lovely junior high school teacher. And every year near the end of the year, they would study eclipses, and he would say to his classes, on April 8th, 2024, you got to get the date right, we'll all meet back here and watch the solar eclipse together. And he said this every year for 46 years of teaching. And so this year he started gathering together, actually it was a little while, months before, he started gathering together all his classes for 46 years. And he got more than he expected. He had hundreds and hundreds of people come to the school to watch the solar eclipse. He treated them to pizza, and he bought way more eclipse classes than he'd been planning on. But they had that connection. Everybody got a reunion, a junior high school reunion, and in a magical moment. And every Sunday, I think we get a kind of magical moment, at church, and we get a reunion. Some people we haven't seen in person for a long time. Other people we get to see on the regular, and some people are watching remotely, but we connect with you. You connect with us because the truth of what we are is beyond time and space. I'll jump to the Higgs boson just while we're talking about science. So the Higgs boson is known as the God particle. And the reason it's called the God particle is that it's a tiny elemental particle that can only exist in the presence of the Higgs field. Now, what is the Higgs field? The Higgs field is something that exists everywhere in the universe. There's not a spot where the Higgs field is not. And the Higgs field creates the mass of the Higgs boson. So Higgs bosons, if there's no Higgs field, no mass in the universe. So everywhere in the universe where there's mass, where there's substance, where there's presence, that is the Higgs field. Now, I know when it first came out, scientists are saying it is not the God particle, it's not God. But they were thinking the Higgs field, this field that creates matter in substance by its very nature everywhere in the universe, is not an old man with a beard sitting on a cloud. It is a presence. It is a presence that I think we can detect. It is very reminiscent of the presence of God. Now I've got to jump to Ernest Holmes, and then we'll start on a regularly scheduled sermon. Ernest Holmes, I mistakenly said last week he was a Christian Science practitioner. He practiced Christian Science and especially he started doing it for 2 years. He dropped out of school at age 15 because he didn't think they were going to teach him anything he was interested in. He was just not interested. Fenwick, went to college. He was the intellectual. Ernest was the charismatic one. So Ernest went to public speaking school for 2 years, and it was a public speaking school run by Christian scientists. All the professors were Christian scientists, and so he started reading the Christian Science books, Science and Healings. He became a master of all the Mary Baker Eddy stuff, and he was like, I'm there. But what he found, he talks about God. The God of Christian Science was not fuzzy enough, was not warm enough, was not loving enough for him. It was the God of principle, the God of spiritual law, the God that's always there and doesn't care about you. Well, not doesn't care about you, the God that's always there and managing impersonally the universe, doing everything it needs to do. And then there's the presence. And the presence is the part of God that's infinitely loving, that cares about you deeply, that's the loving and beloved. This is the part of God that we connect with. This is the part of God we feel. This is the part of God that is exemplified in our relations with each other. And with, you are the face of God. You are the face of love. It's a perfect song for Higgs bosons and Ernest Holmes, and us. So this is where we start. We're talking this month about giant gentleness. That when we aren't in the space of feeling the presence, if we're in, we are spiritual beings living human life. And our human selves, if we lean into gentleness, that brings us closer to being the kind of person we want to be, to living the kind of life we want to live, to creating the kind of society we want to create, to creating our own beloved community. This week, our title is The Other in Love. And our affirmation is, all of my relationships are love in form. All of my relationships are love in form. All of my relationships are love in form. And we're reflections of each other. As we cultivate gentleness for ourselves, we begin to recognize love expressing itself as the others in our lives. So we can see the others in our lives as love expressing ourselves. It's not always easy, but we can do it. And I'm going to talk about 3 tools we can use to do it. One is called the mirror, one is active compassion, and one is distance. So to illustrate the mirror, I'm going to start with the story of Joanna Dossett, who is an Oklahoma State senator. And she was a school teacher in Oklahoma and got laid off because of cuts to the educational budget, even though her school was understaffed and the kids were even, their education was even more compromised. And she thought, I should run for office. I should fix this so that we can put our money where we care, because Oklahomians care about their children, and it's the failure of politics that's leading to the schools not working. So she flipped a red district blue in 2020. She ran as a Democrat in her district and became a state senator. And most recently, she decided that what Oklahomians wanted was for their insurance policies to cover birth control. But because there are so few Democrats in Oklahoma, she had to convince important Republicans to go along. So she went to this important Republican, and she thought about, all my relationships are love in form. And she said, what would it take for you to pass this bill that would make insurance cover birth control for Oklahomians? And he said something, he said a word that stabbed her, that really offended her, that made her think, ah! And this is where the mirror method came in. He said, I want to make sure that it doesn't cover abortifacients. And she doesn't like that word. What he really meant was that it's the morning after pill. is a form of birth control, and some people are vilifying it by calling it this bad name. And it made her see red. It made her feel like she'd stabbed him when he was using this offensive word for the morning after pill. And so, but what she did was she could look inside herself, and she could remember. She had been taught this in school and in church, and she could remember a teenage version of herself who used that word and believed that, by using that word you were doing good in the world and defending your tribe. But what she did was she got over the use of the word, and she said, what would it take to get you to support this bill? And, well, we need to amend it so that it doesn't allow this. And so she was like, I've never done an amendment. I'm new to the state Senate. Can you help me? And so then he showed her how to do an amendment. They worded the amendment. They walked it through the right people. They got it in, and now Oklahomians have birth control covered by their insurance. And it was because she was able to, when he said something that really, it was so offensive to her, it like stabbed her in the heart, she was able to look inside and say, he didn't mean this is in me. And this is what we find is often when we are, especially if you find you're interacting with somebody and you find them like super offensive, if it's really bad for you, it's usually not their intention. It's usually something within you. And so you have to look for that, and then you can heal it, you can manage it. Sometimes you give yourself distance and you do it outside and then come back for a second round with them. I was a chaplain. A few years ago, I was a hospital chaplain, and it was an interesting job. It was boring, and it was magnificent. Most of the time, it was during COVID, and so it was a phone chaplain. But I would call up people. I had a list of people who were in rooms in the hospitals, and I'd call them up to find out if they wanted chaplain services. And most people were like, ugh, no. But I kept on calling, and part of it was because of my experience. Part of it was because of the facts of the matter, the statistics of the matter. And the statistics are that people who go to hospital, who engage in chaplain services, heal in about 2/3 the time of people who don't engage in chaplain services. So it's interesting. It seems like it's a waste of their time to talk with a chaplain, but in fact, they would be out of the hospital sooner, sort of statistically, if they do. They're also, the chance of them returning to the hospital in the next few months for the same problem that got them there are practically zero, whereas they're actually fairly high for people who don't avail themselves of chaplain services. So what did I do, as a chaplain? Well, I come in, and a lot of people say no, and of course you honor the no, because part of chaplain services is everybody wants to do it. And then of the people who say yes, there were so many different ways I interacted with them. Oops. I won't do that again. I know, I probably drowned the microphone. That's true. So sometimes, actually fairly often, I found extremely religious people in the room, and all they wanted to do was cheer me up. And so we would pray together, and we'd talk about all the wonderful things in their lives and all the wonderful people they were going to. But my job as chaplain was to create a beloved community for them. It was to pray for them if they wanted, but really my job was, not everybody wanted to be prayed with. That was actually and we'll talk more about that. But so that wasn't part of my requirements. My requirement was that I needed them to have a beloved community to go out of the hospital to. I needed them to have the kind of support that would enable them to heal and to get completely well. Usually this was a church community. And so this, often I would pray with people, and it was interesting. I actually made a worksheet because people in this hospital came from 30, 40 different religions. And so there are standard ways people would pray in the different religions. And if you can use the prayer words that they're familiar with, they're much happier. They don't want to, in a lot of parts of the country, New Thought is considered a cult. So I wouldn't volunteer which church I was a minister of. But we would get to praying, and we would work together to find out who it was who'd be available to help them. They needed somebody to call who'd be ready to help. They need a place to go to. The hardest part was when people were homeless, but I had assistance on that. There was a social worker who would get them a home, because coming out of the hospital, it's there are places for people to go straight out of the hospital. But a home wasn't enough, like an empty room where it's just them. They need a beloved community. And so I would work with these people, sometimes over multiple days, to figure out who in your life, who do you know, who could you ask, who is it who you would be comfortable with calling if you need help, supporting and helping set you up. A very hard person was a man who'd been homeless and a long-term alcoholic, and he hated church. He wanted no part of prayers. And we talked for a long time, and he couldn't figure out, he wasn't going to go anywhere near any church. He didn't have a spiritual community. He didn't really have anybody who liked him except for the other alcoholics. But on the second day, it turned out that he had a son and daughter who had lived far away and really had wanted nothing to do with him. But after talking to me, he reached out to them, and they both came to the apartment that was being set up to him. The daughter set it all up and made sure that, was ready to make sure he could do the physical therapy and all the healing, because it turns out she was a nurse. And the son, it turned out, was sort of at loose ends. And so when the daughter left, the son could move into the apartment with him and watch out for him for a couple of months until he was ready to go back on his own. And so when you deal with cases like this, especially when people are, trying to make you go, active compassion is, you have the mirror technique if they offend you, but active compassion really helps. And this is also where you use the presence of God in the world. Now, we've talked about self-compassion, and there are 3 elements to self-compassion. There's kindness, and I think gentleness and kindness is what you treat yourself with and you treat other people with. Even if they're trying to be offensive, it doesn't matter. That's just, a lot of people have that gruff persona, or you can't make me pray. And so coming in gently and kindly, and thinking about common humanity, that all of us have different personalities, all of us have different ways we interact with the world. In the hospital, everybody's injured, and all of us want to be healed. And mindfulness, it's staying in the moment. When you get triggered, you notice, I'm not a little kid who just got slapped by somebody bigger than me. I am, in fact, an adult dealing with this person in the hospital, and they're saying things that they may or may not have meant to be offensive. And I can have compassion for that, because there are things that make me want to be offended, and I just need to back off of that. So active compassion is helpful. And then the last thing is stepping outside of yourself, is having sort of 360-degree distance. And this is what had to happen with the guy who ended up getting his daughter and son to come rescue him. We talked and talked, and he was insistent. Nobody knows me, nobody likes me. I got no family, nothing, nothing. I was like, maybe I'll call you back some other time. I was sort of out of resources. Actually, and there were other resources. The social worker often would help me. There were also, there's a chaplain lead who had, the chaplain lead was actually fun. She was from Taiwan and training in the U.S. So her English was, it was sort of a wonderful challenge for my ear to understand. But really, I could feel her presence. It made it easy to deal with the language, because you always knew that whatever it was she was saying, it was always meant for the best. It may sound harsh, but I knew from the feeling that it wasn't meant harshly. It was meant as a support. So sometimes you're too triggered and you have to walk away. This is especially true in couples. I don't know, have you guys heard of the Gottmans, University of Washington researchers? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. These guys have done lots of scientific studies on what makes marriages last and what makes relationships happy. And one of the things they discovered is when you're triggered, you often get flooded. Your brain is flooded. This is where your amygdala takes over and you're in fight and flight mode. And this is when reasoning can no longer take place. And the best thing to do is to get away from each other. Generally, half an hour is enough. And it's interesting because it's different for men and women generally. You may find that it doesn't work the gendered way for you, but generally, men just have to, both people have to think about something else. They have to not think about the argument. They have to distract themselves. It turns out men are very distractible. If you tell a man to distract himself, this is like rolling down a hill. Squirrel. Yeah, exactly. For women, sometimes they have to work harder to focus on something not related to what they just thought about. And you can also wait a longer time. You basically can get together, and once you're no longer flooded, you won't make regrettable statements, because it's we know the amygdala, the guardian part of our brain is trying to keep us safe. And so when it perceives a threat, it can take over our whole body. It can take over our brain and make us do whatever it wants. And so when you recognize the amygdala is in control, you're like, the amygdala is no good at negotiating. It's good at running and at fighting and saying awful things that you'll regret for a long time. And so let's give ourselves some distance. There is a you can do that. Actually, I recommend the really taking physical distance and taking a time break is the best. But I also want us to think about moving into our heart, because there's a way to make distance from the heart where you don't have to actually walk out of the room. So let's for this moment breathe into our hearts and out. And as we focus on our hearts, it helps if you put your hand on your heart. Let's just get a feeling of appreciation. And to get the feeling of appreciation, you can think of a beloved pet, a loved one, really anything that you appreciate. And once you have that feeling of appreciation, Notice how it grows and grows and grows. And fills the heart, it fills our bodies, it fills the room, and it connects us all to one another. We're this great big ball of love, of appreciation. Our heart's magnetic field is big enough that each of us can fill the room with a magnetic field from our heart. And this operates outside of space and time. We are all part of the Higgs field. And so wherever we are, wherever you are and whenever you are part of this love, of this connection, of this loving presence. And from that presence, let's just think of any situation that you'd like to be a little different than it is. Anything you wish hadn't happened. Like drowning your microphone. And let's first welcome that situation and just accept that what's there is there. And any regrets are natural. And now we can just take those regrets and we can let them go. We can let them off into the universe. We can let that energy dissolve and do useful things for the world. And now let's think of anybody who we maybe are feeling like we want approval from, like we don't have as much approval or love as we'd like. Or maybe we want them to dislike us. Whatever that is, wanting to change somebody's feeling. Let's just welcome that, feeling like somebody has to feel something different. And as humans, this is just a part of our nature, is to sometimes feel like we want to change other people, to make them feel something different about us. And we can welcome that wanting, and now we can just let it go. We can dissolve the energy into the universe where it goes off to its next mission to do something fun and exciting and useful. And now we're back to our hearts. Our hearts, we remember, are organs of spiritual vision. And from our hearts, let's lift ourselves out of our hearts and imagine you're standing outside of yourself, looking at yourself maybe from above or from in front or back of you, but just seeing yourself from outside of yourself. Notice what you look like. Notice how big and full your heart is of love and ease and appreciation. And seeing yourself like that, it's easy to appreciate the giant gentleness that you are. It's easy to see how you are part of this beautiful community of gentle giants, rooted in love and radiating love. It's easy to see the power and the presence in our lives and in this world. And if we had any problems, when we move ourselves out of ourselves, we can see it's easier to get perspective on the problem. It's easier to let go of anything we want to change, anything we want to make different, anyone who we'd like to be different than they are. And so from this point of view, we bless everyone in our lives, the people we've labeled difficult, the people we've labeled lovely and agreeable, the people who are co-creators of this beloved community we call Genesis, and we call our worlds. We're parts of many beloved communities. And now let's return our attention back to our hearts. Breathe into our hearts. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and move back into the room. So these are the three methods when you're dealing with, it's sort of the Genesis version of dealing with difficult people. One of my fellow chaplains wrote a book called How to Deal with Work Jerks. She takes a different approach. But hers worked because of that. She invokes the power of laughter. And I think the power of laughter is a good way also to gain distance, especially if you're having big trouble with people or if you feel like they're stabbing you. Just the laughter laughter really brings the power of God. It brings the power of love. It makes everything lighter. It brings the power of lightness into the moment. And so this is another trick. So I did want to say it's an ad for a church. Yesterday in my Ernest Holmes class, we did reports on the science and science of mind walking hand in hand and what the power is of that. And a registered pediatric nurse talked about a study that she actually let me download, pointed me so I could download it, that showed the benefits of spirituality in health and longevity. And it turns out that people who attend church once a week live longer, are happier, have better relationships. They have a 27% lower chance of developing any kind of cardiac events. Not zero, just 27% lower. 20% less of developing cancer. Andrew Newberg is a professor, I think he's at Cornell, who did a study of churches and the benefits people have of going to church. And what he found is it depends on the church. If it's a church with a loving God who supports you, you're happier, healthier, better relationships, mentally healthier. If it's a church with an angry God who you're afraid of, unhealthier, unhappier, really sort of people in this kind of church go around feeling a little bit anxious all the time, not knowing where they're going to slip up and this sort of mean God fall into place. Luckily, my fundamentalist cousins, we only talk about the loving part of God. I don't know if I've changed the religion, but I know that when I interact with them, loving God fills the room. So it's good. All my, they helped all my relationships with them are love informed. And all our relationships are love informed. We know the presence, we can practice the presence of God, we can feel the presence of God. We know Ernest Holmes wanted us to have a loving presence of God. He loved Christian Science and he thought it was missing the love. It was missing that part. Principles everywhere, and so is love. So let's say, actually I want to just note that in our lives and in the universe, we are surrounded by the presence of God, by the presence of love, by this giant gentleness. And we are, there is one presence and one power in our lives and in the universe. God the good, God the loving. And that love, we exemplify that love. We are part of that love. That love radiates from us, and we are grateful. We are grateful for the love. We are grateful for the presence. And we can let this go knowing that the law brings that love and keeps that gentleness available to us always and forever. And so let's just say 3 times together, all of my relationships are love in form. All of my relationships are love in form. All of my relationships are love in form. Okay, thank you. And now we're going to fill out our prayer cards. And on one side is what I prayed for. And this is my favorite part, because whenever you fill out the demonstration part of your prayer card, that increases, it amplifies the power of any prayers you give, because you know, every part of you knows that prayer is powerful. It works because you just wrote it down. It helps because you can feel it while you're writing it. So it's good for kinesthetic learners. You can see it when you look at it. So it's good for visual learners. If you say it out loud, you can hear it. And so it's good for audio learners. And then prayers, we know that the Higgs field manifests all matter in the universe. So anything you want, really, the Higgs field is there for you. And God is there for you. The power of prayer, these prayer cards go to our practitioners. Our practitioners bring the power of prayer to this and help us manifest it, bring us to our group consciousness, and bring it to presence, bring it to spirit, bring it to principle. And that's it. Continue writing the cards, and I think we've got another beautiful song from Cal.
I'm going to give you a moment to finish your cards, and then I'm going to ask everyone to gather in a circle. So we're going to have a spiritual practice again, because it's all spiritual practice. Just a second. Still writing. So this song is called There Is Only One of Us. It's very simple. There is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. And I invite you to sing it to each other as a large circle. And then after you become comfortable, after a couple times, you can sing it to each other individually.
Writing novels.
It's prayer time all the time. That's what we learned. We learned a lot of these songs in choir. We had to learn a lot of sing-alongs, lots and lots of sing-alongs, because Reverend Eric never liked to have the same song twice. So we always had lots of sing-alongs every Sunday, and we always got to sing these over and over again to perfect the craft of singing. And so these songs are in my heart every day. They're in my brain all the time. And they do change your life. All right, go ahead. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. There is only one of us. In your eyes it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one. You are my reflection. There is only one.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cal. Whew. So we filled out our prayer cards, and now it's time to write our offering. Our center is supported by God, and we welcome you to be a part of how God's support shows up. If you're on Facebook, please visit our website at genesiscsl.org, or you can text your tithe to 206-800-7595. So just take a moment to write your offering. And when you're ready, you can hold your prayer and your offering next to your heart while we say our offering blessing together. divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. Gideon will come around and collect the offerings and the prayers while we sing together, God is my source.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
And so acknowledging that we have initiated the law of circulation, that as we give, so shall we receive, pressed down, multiplied, and overflowing into our individual lives, into Genesis itself, and into life as a whole. And for this, I give great thanks. And so it is. Yes. Thank you for joining us today. We have food and fellowship that was provided by one of our care circles, the Supper Club. And so please partake and enjoy. Let's sing together, I Release.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see